there's a negative in the housing market with rates staying higher for longer. The positive is you get better deals. The negative is, I think for a lot of people, and it's funny because the people that own the most real estate are like, that's fine. We're going to be in a relatively flat market. There's optimism around next year might see 3.5% home price appreciation. I wouldn't be surprised if rates stayed higher for longer if we were flat. And the crazy part is those of us that own real estate aren't so greedy that we're like, we just want 10% appreciation every single year for the next 5 years. No. I want it to stay flat. I want somebody to, buy a home that's cheaper than it would have been in the summer of 2022.
Alrighty, folks, we are going to have another conversation about mortgage rates. We're going to have another conversation about consumers. We're even going to talk disrespectful offers. But at the end of the day, folks, I think more and more people are realizing that 5% mortgage rates are not coming. Low 6% mortgage rates aren't coming. And I think this means that we're actually going to see some activity. And lo and behold, just this week, we saw mortgage purchase applications up 12.4%. Some of that undoubtedly is election kind of demand was pushed back. But yeah, purchase apps up. People are buying with 7% mortgage rates. Matt, what say you?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see, buyer sentiment shift a little bit. And I think you're exactly right. The stuff that I saw, and I try to stay out of the nitty gritty and the economics of it. But when you look at the year-over-year inflation numbers, if inflation isn't down substantially, like it's going to be really hard for the Fed to justify Fed rate cuts. And, long story short, the people that are like, we might be above 6.5, 6.75 for the next 18 months. I'm starting to see what they're seeing. And, there's good and bad to it. The good is there is deals to be had. I've got a real life example, Mike, where I think it's good to not just talk about if this happens, that'll happen. And if rates do this, then, motivated sellers do this. Like, listen to this one. Sacramento, phenomenal part of Sacramento, beautiful 2,000 square foot house. This is something that in other markets wouldn't have lasted more than 7 days on the MLS.
Right.
Granted, they came on in August and they started too high. And this is something that, like, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to track and watch this stuff. I'll give you the exact numbers. August listed at 729. Probably in August should have listed this place for 650.
Oh, wow. So 10% overvalued.
Yeah, maybe a realtor would have advised them 679. In retrospect, it's easier to play Monday morning quarterback, but nonetheless,
clearly too high in August.
It sat for a month, and then sellers do what sellers do. Okay, fine, 699. Well, by then, people see that's been on the market for 30 days. It's got a stale, taste to it for people that are looking and seeing like, oh yeah, it's been on a month. People assume it must have problems. And they won't even bother looking. Right or wrong, it's what consumers do because I talk to them every single day. And the crazy part is I saw that price reduction. It was on September 18th, and rates were 6%, and they still couldn't sell it for 700.
Ooh,
so,
wow. Okay.
They let it sit for another month, and then October reduced it to 648.
Oh.
I think it was November 23rd. It had been on the market for 107 days. Started at 729, come down to 650. My buyers knew the number, and this is the great part too. My buyers knew the number that made sense for them from a mortgage standpoint. They wanted a property at 615 with $15,000 in credit. That credit would allow them to do 4.25 in year 1, 5.25 in year 2, 6.25 at years 3 through 30. So I didn't get the call that I sometimes get. Hey, we're interested. What would this look like? They already knew it. They knew the answer. And they told their realtor, this one's a little bit out of our budget, but if you can get them to 615 with 15,000 in credit, we're in.
Nice.
615, $15,000 in credit. Seller pays transfer tax. Seller splits the escrow fee. Seller splits the, there's a bunch of other type of wins within that win. But from 729 to 600, 20% less than they started in August. And my buyer's super stoked.
Yeah, they got something they didn't think they could get. They reached. Good for them.
Yeah, and so these things are happening. That's what people need to hear. This isn't like, hey, you might get a deal. Every single day, this type of stuff is happening in all different markets, and each property is unique. So as a listener, don't think that a neighborhood that's got 2 listings and a lot of, buyer demand because the schools are great, that you can go out and write a crazy disrespectful offer and it work. But man, I've got colleagues, Mike, in different parts of Texas. There's a lot of homes, not a lot of demand. That's a good formula for you as a buyer getting a good deal. And so you just got to be paying attention and doing the work.
I keep telling people this buyer's market is awesome, but it's not easy. You gotta pay attention. You gotta watch days on market. You gotta write a lot of offers. You gotta follow up. You gotta know your numbers, what makes sense for you. But again, when I hear this story, that's the kind of stuff you should see. It was overpriced the day it was listed. 30 days later, they took a small haircut. 30 days later, they took another one. Folks, this is all stuff if you're doing the work and the daily discipline in your buy box, it is all right there for you. And again, this seller is happy to get this transaction behind them. They likely wanted to say, we're out of this house this year.
Right.
There is compelling pressure with a year-end close for whatever reason, right? Tax consequences, want a change of scenery, job transfer. They've been listing the house since August. Can you imagine how many open houses, how many times they'd have to leave for walkthroughs? They're tired. They're done. They want this behind us, AKA motivated seller. This is what I keep telling people. And again, I want people to understand that this weekend is likely the best weekend to write disrespectful offers. Demand is nowhere. People are taking the time off. They're not looking at housing. Sellers still want to sell. Write that disrespectful offer this weekend. You never know.
Yeah, I love it. And being on team buy side, it's great. I was thinking to myself too. I looked at this one, and nobody should cry for the sellers. They bought this piece of real estate in 2002 for $325.
Yeah, they're doing okay.
They've had a good run. They're still selling it for 80% more than they bought it for, and mortgage free. But in the current environment we're in, and that's something there's a negative in the housing market with rates staying higher for longer. The positive is you get better deals. The negative is, I think, for a lot of people, and it's funny because the people that own the most real estate are like, that's fine. We're going to be in a relatively flat market. There's optimism around next year might see 3.5% home price appreciation. I wouldn't be surprised if rates stayed higher for longer if we were flat. And the crazy part is, those of us that own real estate aren't so greedy that we're like, we just want 10% appreciation every single year for the next 5 years. No. I want it to stay flat. I want somebody to, buy a home that's cheaper than it would have been in the summer of 2022, which again is happening in many markets. And it's kind of quiet. It's kind of quiet where it's like, we had this big push as rates started to climb and people went a little bit crazy in the summer of 22. You're buying homes in some areas for 10 or 15% less than the summer of 22 price. That's good. Yeah. That's a good thing.
Yeah, I think, again, I'm feeling more and more good about my 7% average mortgage rate call for next year, higher for longer. It will mean the buyer's market is extended, but that's a good thing. If you're looking to make an investment, that's a good thing. If you're a seller, it's probably not a good thing. Unless you have a perfect property in the perfect location, you'll be fine. But the dated, the not perfect, the sort of, nice property, they're going to sit. And it's our job as buyers to write offers that make sense to us with the current cost of capital. Don't reach, don't bet on appreciation, do the work. Again, follow up. So many of you don't follow up. Put a tickler on your calendar every 7 to 10 days. Follow up. That's where the money is. The money's in the follow-up.
Yeah. And with technology, you don't need access to realtors MLS. You don't need any of that stuff. You go to Redfin and say, this zip code listed for more than 30 days, and you get a list. And then you look and you go, 47 days. It'll show you, the price history even. Started at 700, now they're at 675. That's when either an agent who's great in representing you calls, or you call to talk to the agent who's listing it and say, what's going on with this property? They'll usually tell you. They want to put a deal together. Everybody's in the business to get deals done. So it's, don't bother with 600 because this seller doesn't need to sell. Okay, thanks for that information. Or this seller's already moved out of state. It's staged, but it's vacant.
They're carrying 2 payments. Yeah.
Right. And let's put something together. So it's opportunity season for buyers and investors. I'm doing this stuff.
Yeah.
I saw a duplex come on yesterday. I was like, you know what? Let that thing sit 30 days. I'm going to come right before Christmas. And
hammer.
I can't do it now. If I offered him the low offer right now, it's probably not going to work. But
yeah, of course.
That's why, you don't want the work to be too easy. One rental at a time community. You want the work to be a little bit hard so that not everybody's doing it. And so if you're not already, get in the school community, talk to other investors that are winning stuff that they're doing, just soak up knowledge and strategy and all that stuff from some of these pros in there, which, oh, by the way, I got to send you a link Friday. I think I'll do it at,
send me a link.
I don't know what time. I'm going to do it sometime between 10 to 1 p.m. Most people are probably home. So let's talk real estate. Let's talk hunting season and different things you can do. One last thing on that deal. Those buyers, when I talk to them, are like most buyers, payment conscious, payment matters. I just copy good ideas that builders have, and builders go, how about a 4.25% for the first year? Would that make your payment more affordable and feel a little bit better? Yeah. Start at $4,000, then $4,350, then $4,700. You're not jumping right into a $4,700 payment. And so that's what we do. And the seller pays for it. And the seller's like a builder. We want to sell. We don't want to keep this home. It's for sale for a reason. And so those are the type of things that, if more people were out there doing the work, talking to agents that know how to negotiate and put deals together, I think that it's not super difficult. It just requires repetitive daily action.
Yeah, I love all of that. This is why you're part of the community. You have this site, greatmortgagebroker.com. People can reach out, give them their situation. Again, folks, get prepared. Know the options. He'll run them through with you. And he's a great person of the team. And again, in school, if you are a school member, look for a Friday 1-hour session with the man, myth, the legend, Matt, the mortgage guy. It's going to be a lot of fun. Thanks, brother.
Yes, sir. Just quick for the one rental at a time community. Some people send me messages, matt@mtmg.com. Hey, I'm part of one rental at a time. Here's what I'm looking to do. My number is public. And I don't want to get flooded with a bunch of random texts, but if you have a scenario, somebody from one rental at a time reached out yesterday and it's like, here's my plan. I've got this number of properties. I'm trying to figure out how to set myself up conventional. Just text me, 916-529-7600. I'm part of ORaaT, or when did I say ORaaT? ORaaT. And when's a good time to schedule 15 minutes? I've got a calendar link and all the fancy technology, but sometimes it's just like, let's text back and forth and find 15 minutes on Friday to go over. Nice. If I was you in your shoes, here's what I do. So 916-529-7600. Let's connect.
There you go. Greatmortgagebroker.com. Won't be disappointed. Thanks, brother. Take care. Happy Thanksgiving.
You too, man. Thanks.